Chinese memory maker CXMT has entered the mainstream DDR5 market in partnership with Corsair. A Corsair Vengeance DDR5 6000 CL36 RAM kit has been spotted by hardware enthusiast WX Nod running CXMT chips instead of the usual Samsung, SK Hynix, or Micron. CXMT is China's largest memory maker, and this is the first time that their DRAM has shown up inside a major Western brand's product. The kit itself is currently China exclusive based on its CN part number, but any memory chip that is produced today is going to be a net benefit, because if only Micron, SK Hynix, and Samsung were able to make DDR5 chips like at all, even within China, then that would be it. That would be the finite supply that is available to gamers. But if some of that demand in China can be soaked up by CXMT, look, is it a small win? Yes. Is it a win?
It's still a W.
It's still a W. I'll take a microscopic W over a giant L any day of the week.
Yeah.
And this is funny. The reason that CXMT apparently has supply to spare is almost ironic. U.S. sanctions blocked them from getting the cutting-edge tools needed to make HBM for AI. So their production lines are wide open to build the consumer DDR5 that Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron are simply too gosh darn busy to make. Our discussion question here is, when the memory shortage gets bad enough that Corsair turns to a Chinese chip maker that the US government is trying to restrict, who's actually winning the chip war? Oh, lordy. That went straight into politics really fast. But there. Oh, look at that. Our discussion question is gone. Luke, can you think of it? Okay, no, in all seriousness. I mean, no, I don't see this as a win for China in the chip war. I mean, it's very clear that from a strategic standpoint, HBM is a lot more important to governments right now than some consumer gaming DDR5 memory. But
I still think this is actually a W for them. I think so.
But given the kind of revenue that this is going to be funneling to CXMT,
exactly,
that they otherwise would not have access to, or otherwise might be much less. I mean, making DDR5 is way more profitable today than it was 6 months ago. It's only going to accelerate China's long-term ambitions. So in the short term, no, I don't see this as a win. But in the long term, having a company like Corsair buying memory from CXMT is
might as well be money these days.
I mean, yeah, dude. I was my system wouldn't post last night, and I needed to scan a document, and setting up my scanner is kind of a pain in the butt. It's like a whole software suite, and I was just like, okay, what's less work? Setting up the scanner on another computer or fixing my computer so that I already have the scanner set up? And I settled on fixing my computer since I kind of wanted it fixed anyway. And I realized that I was having an issue with like my Expo memory profile. It was booting fine at JDEC, and then whatever. The point is, I booted up my system having fixed the Expo profile, and I saw that 64 gigs of RAM in it, and I went, do I really need 64 gigs of RAM? You know, is this worth more on Facebook Marketplace than it has value to me? Could I just get by with 32? Probably.
Probably.
It's crazy what an investment in a DDR5 kit. My RAM's not even that great. It's like a fine kit from the Ryzen 7000 era. Like, it's not even anything special. Right, but yeah, it's worth like $500 now, and I probably paid like $200 to $250. It's crazy.
I was doing one of my like late night walks around Whaleland, checking out all the different systems and stuff.
Nice.
And the talks I would have with people were like, you know, normally people want to flex their like GPUs or whatever, and that is still a huge deal, and people were definitely doing that. But I'd show up to people's computers, and the first specs they'd rattle off was their NVMe drives and their RAM. Like every time, someone would be like, I've got 4 terabytes of NVMe, and it's like, whoa,
Now listen,
that's crazy.
I'm not
because
saying
it actually is.
I'm not saying you're poor. I'm just saying that I'm wearing your whole house on my DIMM slot.
DIMM slot, yeah. Yeah, it's that was pretty nuts. It just hearing, like, you know, I don't remember the last time, literally ever, that I've done like a walk at some LAN and people have rattled off their storage when they didn't, like, I don't know, bring like a server for the LAN or something.
Oh, you know, it's been a long, you're right. I think the last time storage was hot was like almost like, okay, early days of SSDs. There was an era of like,
Yeah.
I'm rocking an SSD. And then before that, if you had like a 10K drive, like if you had a WD Raptor or something like that, that was like
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
true.
Running
Yeah.
dual Raptor X's in RAID 0.
Were those the ones that had the, like, I don't even know
There
what to
was a
call it,
window,
like
so
serrated metal on the side?
Yeah, they had heat sinks. Yeah. Yeah, some of the Raptors
But it, like,
did.
I doubt it was all that effective of a heatsink.
Oh, no,
I
no,
think it
it-
mostly just, like, looked cool.
It worked. So those
did it?
those 10K
Okay.
RPM drives, they were more designed for server use. And so there were a couple different eras of Raptor. There were 3.5-inch Raptors that had the bigger disc, but I don't remember if they were short stroked or not, or maybe they just spun at the faster speed. And then I think it was the later generation Raptors that actually used 2.5-inch 10K discs, and then they were just like thermal interfaced to a 3.5-inch sled that was a big heatsink.
If you want to look it up, because I can't share my screen, WD Velociraptor. It's a WD 1000 DHTZ. They look wild, to be honest.
Yeah, here you go, guys. Yeah, nice. Yeah. This is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh man, is that the only picture? Oh no. Okay, here we go.
I found
Here we
an
go.
Amazon listing.
Here we go. I got it. There's got to be some more pictures in here. Come on, Tom's Hardware. Don't let me down. Are you serious right now? Maybe I went to the wrong. There it is. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's freaking cool.
It's a huge heatsink tray.
Yeah.
The honestly, the heatsink on it looks more legit than my memory was telling me.
Big heatsink energy.
Yeah.
That was
That
around
was a wild drive.
That was around the same era that you could buy water blocks for your hard drives and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the days of just like water cooling all the things making any sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so like it's been a minute. Generally, people don't lead with their like storage specs, but more than one person did while I was there.
Dude, I'm blown away by how many people lead with their operating system these days. The new Flex.
There was a bunch of Linux users at Whaleland. There was a bunch.
And look, I know that Whaleland is like a sample size of only a couple hundred, and I know that there's an numerous selection biases in terms of geography and like the cost of the ticket, sort of self-selecting people who can afford to like travel and bring their computer to places. Like there's all kinds of selection biases here. However, those same selection biases have existed for every Whaleland, and there is undeniably a like colossally rising trend in people that are running Linux in some form or another. Like the first Whaleland at LTX, I would say the biggest Linux trend was people who were dailying Steam Decks and just like using them with docks as their everyday gaming machine, not for their full computers. They were secondary computers for basically everyone we talked to, with I think maybe one or two exceptions. Whereas now you still see that. Actually, if anything, you see more of that. But man, people are tripping over themselves to show you their custom like arcade style, Linux machine for playing like retro games, or to show you some game that they got running that's like a real big challenge. And by the way, they're running Arch. Like, it's pretty cool how.
I also.
No, go ahead.
I thought you were done. I was also surprised at the lack of issues that a lot of them were having. I know there was a guy in my row who was running Bazite, and he had Forza Horizon 6 running. He did have an AMD card, which solved that problem.
Yep.
But we would play whatever random games, and he was able to jump in and keep up, which was cool. And I didn't hear a lot of issues. I did hear from a few people, because I had some conversations with people about their setups. I did hear that most of them had a Windows dual boot still, but the general conversation was around that they really don't use it much. Like, they haven't launched into it in quite a while, but it's like a security layer still, because there are still some rough edges, and it seems like a lot of the gamers want to have that fallback just in case.
Having the option makes sense, and I can understand 100% why people would want that.